Hi you guys, welcome back. And of course, if you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracy Erickson, and in this video, I'm going to tell you all about my experience with the extraterrestrial crystal known as Moldavite. So stay tuned. Moldavite is a mysterious crystal with extraterrestrial origins. And I've had this crystal for a few years now, but strangely, I have not worked with this crystal for, I believe it's been a couple of years at this point. But I'll get into that later when I tell you all about my experience with Moldavite. So, since I felt like my Moldavite piece was actually calling me and drawing me near, I decided to share my earlier experience with Moldavite in part 1. And after some time has passed and after I've been working with the Moldavite once again, I will, in the future, share with you a new Moldavite experience, hopefully. So, let's just start by checking out the Crystal Encyclopedia to find out a little more about our friend, the Moldavite crystal. Whenever I get a new crystal, I always start working with my crystals, of course, by cleansing the crystal of any previous energies that might have attached themselves to the crystal. Once I've cleansed and then charged my crystal, either in the sunlight or the moonlight, then I begin working with more of the actual physical part of the crystal. So my first step in learning all about my new crystal is to read up on the crystal, as well as simply to admire it, to look at it, to hold it, but not necessarily try to go too deep with it just yet. That's at least my technique for whenever I get a new crystal. So I have the Encyclopedia of Crystals by Judy Hall, and this is an excellent resource. It has even color-coded pages, if you can see that, a color-coded side. So you can simply go by the color of your crystal to find the crystal in this encyclopedia. So let's check out what this Encyclopedia of Crystals has to say about Moldavite. So according to the Encyclopedia of Crystals by Judy Hall, it states for Moldavite, formed when a giant meteorite struck the Earth and the heat of impact metamorphosed surrounding rocks. Moldavite fuses extraterrestrial energies with Mother Earth and takes you way beyond your limits and boundaries. Used since Stone Age times as a talisman and amulet for good fortune and fertility, this is a stone of the New Age, bringing you into communication with your higher self and with extraterrestrials. Moldavite has its own cosmic connection, which puts you in touch with ascended masters and cosmic messengers, facilitating the ascension process. It integrates the divine blueprint and accelerates spiritual growth by downloading information from the Akashic record and the light body, which has to be processed and made conscious. Under the influence of Moldavite, you can go forward to a future life to see the results of actions taken in the present, or to learn what is needed now to prevent destruction in the future. Moldavite is a useful stone for sensitive people who find it difficult being in incarnation on Earth, and assists in developing detachment from security issues such as money and worries for the future. Providing an overview of reasons for incarnating and spiritual purposes and integrating this into earthly life, Moldavite releases fixed ideas and outworn belief systems and can neutralize hypnotic commands instilled in the past. This is very interesting to me. Now, in this book, not only does it give you a description of the crystal itself, but up there it also gives you kind of like the structure of the crystal. So it tells you here that the hardness is a 5. It works well with all chakras, so it doesn't matter what chakra you want to use this crystal on. It's going to help you with all of these things that we discussed. All right, you guys. So it also says here that Moldavite is beneficial for compassion, security, empathy, finding the gift in an illness, diagnosis, and emotional trauma. So Moldavite is all around a very high vibration stone. It works with all of your chakras. It brings heaven and earth together, just like you do. So, similar to how you have a conscious mind and physical body as well as a soul, which is connected to spirit and just an otherworldly part of yourself, the Moldavite brings these two together as well. Moldavite is a very unique crystal, and it also helps you to understand your own uniqueness. So after I've learned a little bit more about my new crystal by admiring it, holding it, feeling the energy, as well as studying the crystal itself, then it is time to begin working with the crystal. So back a few years ago when I first worked with the Moldavite, I do recall the Moldavite feeling so strange. Now, by strange, I don't mean that it gave me too much of a physical sensation personally at first, but at first the Moldavite was more of a strange internal sensation. And what I mean by that is almost like I could tell that this crystal is not from this world. And it also kind of brought out my weirdness as well. I do recall being, pretty silly when I was working with this crystal, but not only silly, like, being a jokester, but what I mean is understanding that you can take everything lightly. You don't have to carry heavy burdens, and you don't have to feel like everything has to be serious. So that was definitely an internal feeling that I had when I was working with Moldavite the first time. So another thing that I realized as I worked with Moldavite was that there are many weird synchronicities that happen when you're working with this crystal. In fact, just today, before I was, as I was preparing to create this video for you guys, I actually had a small synchronicity with Moldavite and Bibliomancy, because when I grabbed the Encyclopedia of Crystals off of my bookshelf to look up the Moldavite, remember I said there were the colored edges here. So I went to the green side and I literally just said Moldavite. And I opened the book and as I flipped through the green, I actually landed on the page for Moldavite. But back to the first time that I was working with the Moldavite years ago, I do have a couple of other synchronicities that I want to share with you. And to share those, I'm going to be reading them out of my journal that I was using at that time. Okay, so I got my journal, and evidently I was wrong on the amount of years, because it looks like I first got my Moldavite in 2019. So it's all in all only been a couple years. But anyway, on February 2nd, 2019, I wrote, last night I purchased a piece of Moldavite and a bracelet made with rhodochrosite and freshwater pearls. I'm excited to receive them. I looked at many bracelets and for some reason was guided to click on this one. I was drawn to it. Then I watched a Moldavite video on someone's YouTube channel, and the person had mentioned that rhodochrosite works well with Moldavite. The Moldavite was the reason I was even online shopping. That was my first synchronicity with my Moldavite. So, obviously, that was a synchronicity. So, I went online to purchase my Moldavite piece, and that is when I felt inspired to check out some crystal jewelry. I found the rhodochrosite bracelet after looking at so many bracelets, and for some reason, I was drawn to that one. And again, when I went to YouTube to try to find some information about the Moldavite crystal that I had just purchased, the video that I happened to choose stated that Moldavite works well with rhodochrosite, which is the bracelet that I was attracted to. It is not a coincidence. It is a synchronicity. Okay, you guys. So then I have another synchronicity from when I was working with the Moldavite back in 2019. So at that time, I was thinking about doing this cord cutting ritual using a kyanite crystal. And so I had been thinking about it actually quite a bit. Now, when I'm working with the Moldavite at this time, I'm in the phase of working with the crystal where I wear it on me each and every day. So I had been wearing this Moldavite crystal in my bra, like the whole time that I'm, thinking about doing this cord cutting ritual using the kyanite crystal. Well, I have a deck of oracle cards that are called Crystal Angels. My Crystal Angel cards, I use these in my monthly tarot readings, so you guys are probably familiar with these cards, but the next synchronicity has to do with the oracle cards, specifically the Crystal Angels card. Very strange. So I have that deck, and then I also have another tarot deck. I have actually many tarot decks that I use. Now, I use these decks all the time, and I treat them with such high regard. All of my oracle and tarot cards are very meaningful to me. So whenever I use them, I place them back in each deck exactly where they belong. Okay, you guys, so on March 16th, 2019, I wrote, tonight, I got my Crystal Angel cards out and began to shuffle for a card of the day. As I shuffled, somehow there were two cards that were turned face up, where the other cards in the deck were face down, as usual, how they always are. The two cards that were the wrong way in the deck were Moldavite and kyanite. So it was the exact two crystals. But anyway, I wrote, the universe is telling me to do it. I should do it tonight. Talking about the cord cutting ritual. So anyway, I was very thankful for that synchronicity, but at the same time, it was almost mind-blowing. So on that particular evening in March of 2019, as I was working with the Moldavite daily, and also considering doing a ritual using the kyanite crystal, I went to shuffle my Crystal Angels cards. And I gave them a few shuffles. And then I realized it looked similar. It looked like this. You can tell when a couple of cards are turned the wrong way in a deck. Now look, I know I already said it, but I take very good care of my oracle and tarot cards, and I don't put them back with cards facing the wrong way. So anyway, it stuck out kind of like a sore thumb. I could see the cards. And of course, as you heard me say, those two cards that were randomly turned the other way in my deck were the Moldavite and the kyanite. I mean, you guys, I can't even make this up. This literally happened. It's a definite synchronicity. To me, it's a message direct to me. And as I stated in my journal, that message is saying, go for it. Do this cord cutting ritual that you want to do because it's going to be good for you. So I do feel like Moldavite, it is possible that Moldavite brings more synchronicities to you only because it's helping you to connect, heaven and earth. You're bringing spirit to physical and physical to spirit. So therefore, it's almost as though the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, because it is whatever you want. It's like direct communication with God, with the universe, with your highest self. So let's see what the Crystal Angel card says about Moldavite. It says there, unconventionality. Your unique qualities are an important part of your life purpose. It's okay to feel and be different from others. So that's definitely, as I stated, it's kind of how it made me feel when I was working with Moldavite. I felt like I was able to be a lot lighter in many different situations. I had all these synchronicities coming to me. And I overall generally enjoyed working with the Moldavite. Now, the reason that I stopped abruptly when working with Moldavite was that I suddenly had a very strong physical reaction to the crystal energy that I was dealing with. I believe that Moldavite is so powerful that you really don't want to use it each and every day. Your Moldavite is a crystal that you're going to want to pick up and put down and pick up and put down, in my opinion. When I stopped using the Moldavite the first time, here's what happened. As I stated, I was wearing it each and every day in my bra, so it was direct contact with my physical body. And one day while at work, I began feeling just a splitting headache. It was a horrible headache. I could barely look up. It was so bad. I tried giving myself Reiki. As many of you know, I'm attuned to the Reiki energy as well. And so therefore, I tried to heal my ailment of the headache with Reiki. But it was so intense that the Reiki was only helping while my hands were actively on my head. As soon as I removed my hands from my head, the pounding was back. So I had this just pounding headache. So finally, I asked a coworker if I could just have a couple of her ibuprofen because I needed the help. So I decided to take those, and still it didn't go away. It was almost as if something inside of me whispered, the Moldavite. Because I suddenly thought to myself, oh my God, the Moldavite. Like, I don't even know why I thought it was the Moldavite, but I had this sudden, awareness. So I immediately grabbed, stick my hand down there, grab the Moldavite out. And as soon as the Moldavite was no longer in my bra, I kid you not, the headache, it was gone. It was off, as though someone literally turned off a light switch. I was like, whew, that was weird. Because as I said, I always felt the energy of the Moldavite in the beginning internally, but not as like a physical ailment or anything like that. It was more in the way I was feeling, in my emotions. It was removing worries, and it was making me feel so connected. It was almost as though the Moldavite was telling me it was done working with me for the time being and for the reason, whatever that might be, that I was doing it. So because the headache was so horribly bad, I just haven't been interested in working with Moldavite since then. But like I said earlier in the video, earlier today, I was not planning on making this video. I felt like the Moldavite was beckoning me. I literally, after all this time has passed, I literally just felt like it was time once again. I felt the Moldavite. The Moldavite was like, hello, don't you want to touch me again? Don't you want to see what we can learn together? So here I am. I'm making part 1 of my Moldavite experience because I am going to work again with the Moldavite. And I want to share my second Moldavite experience with you guys in the future. Now, a little word of caution for any of you new to crystal work out there. If you're interested in Moldavite, like I stated, be sure to just start with a very small piece of Moldavite because this is a very powerful high vibration crystal and it's definitely powerful enough even in its small size. This tiny crystal packs a big punch. And so if you've worked with Moldavite, I would love to hear your stories about Moldavite. So put your Moldavite stories down in the comment section down below. If you have any questions for me, you could ask those questions down there as well, and I can answer those to the best of my ability. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like this video, be sure to click that like button and share this video with your friends out there. And of course, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to click subscribe down below. And then once you've subscribed, be sure to click that bell so that you can be notified each and every time that I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.